Hello, Monarch fans, and thanks for checking out another Monarchist video. We have a really fun one for you today, talking all about ODU Lacrosse. The Monarchs kick off their 24th season this Saturday at 1 when Elon makes a visit to LR Hill. Joined today by really the whole coaching staff here. Head coach Theresa Walton, defensive coordinator Hailey Dobbins, and offensive coordinator Meg Clements. Coaches, thanks so much for coming on today.
Happy to be here.
Of
For having
course.
us.
Happy to be here.
Oh yeah, super psyched to be on this right now.
Fantastic. Well, Coach Walton, I'm going to set this one up for you first here. All of you are really going into your second season here at ODU, kind of completing your first full off season. What's your experience been like in Norfolk so far?
Oh, we've absolutely loved it when it comes to the area, the community, the staff that we have, the players that we have. We just felt so welcomed right away into the family atmosphere. And then 3 semesters in, starting our fourth semester now, it feels like home. And it's just been a great 3 semesters to get to know the team that we have currently and really know these returners and welcome in a great first year class that are really ready to go for this spring season.
Awesome. And Haley and Meg, what's your experience been like so far since joining ODU?
Who wants to go first?
Hi, Hailey. I wasn't sure.
Wait, me?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, I'll go. No, it's been awesome. I'm super stoked to be down here. Obviously, coming from New York, a little bit of a hike, but was definitely through my college career super flexible about where I could end up. So knew that when I started coaching, I'd be flexible to end up wherever as well. And I was pumped to get to know this area a little bit more. Very unique in what it brings to the table in the city sense, in the beach sense, and all that stuff. It has so much to offer. And being able to have my dogs down here. My sister just moved down here as well, followed me down, does some of the commentating for ODU Sports and ESPN. So it's been awesome, and I can't wait to get to know the area more and learn everything about it.
Awesome. Got the whole family down.
Oh yeah. I can just tackle on with that. Sorry, yeah.
You can hear Winnie in the background.
Yeah,
That's the beagle.
That's the beagle.
She was quiet this whole time.
She heard her name. No, I can just tackle on with that. I absolutely love the area. I spent the last 6 seasons up in New Jersey at a Division III program. Got way too comfortable up there. So super excited to be down here. The area is a hidden gem. It really is. I mean, you've got your downtown naval aspect, you've got your beach aspect, and then you've also got your college campus aspect. So it is a really awesome area. The weather is great down here. This is true, wonderful spring weather. And then I also couldn't be more happy to be with this team, be with this coaching staff. Also can't say anything can't say enough great things about just like the staff here at Old Dominion in general. The athletic department feel super supported and just super excited to be somewhere where we get to really change the tides and bring a whole new name to what this lacrosse program really can be.
Great. Yeah, definitely an awesome area and hopefully an area that makes it a little bit easier for you all from a recruiting standpoint too, being able to sell the beach, play at the bay, all those good sound bites that are floating around out there right now. Now, Coach Walton, I want to give fans a little bit of context on your background. Played at Canisius in upstate New York, had some assistant jobs, but I think the one that would really stand out to fans is your time at Youngstown State. Taking a team from really inception to winning a conference championship 2 years later. Would love to hear a little bit about that process and kind of what your takeaways were and what you're taking from that experience to bring here to ODU.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, Youngstown, it has a special place in my heart, no question. Originally, when I was first applying for that position, I thought it was really more for the experience of interview experience and loved what I was doing with at VCU as an assistant there in Richmond. But then I got to Youngstown and knowing the history of athletics there behind Jim Tressel, and he was the president at the time. So one of the most winningest coach at the NCAA in the football level, coaching at Youngstown and Ohio State. Got to know him really, really well, along with Mike Peterson. Have to give him a shout out too. He played for Tressel at Youngstown for football. Really great guy who was on the board members there. And just had really good mentors out of those two, and got to really build a really good team right away just with the location and being able to pull from areas that I'm so familiar with, like Canada, upstate New York, Pennsylvania area, even in the Ohio region, great players that played both basketball and lacrosse, good family background. So just felt really fortunate to start a program there and know that within that conference, it was something that we could build really strong, really fast, while knowing that, I was always going to look for continuing to up that level of competition, and not just within the region but within the conference, and wanting to get to a really good spot for both. ODU definitely happened sooner than later that it hit both things. Great area, great conference. Like I said, it holds a special place in my heart for Youngstown and starting that well and building a championship team. But I'll never forget Carolyn Crutchfield said it on my interview here. You beat every team in conference. You have nothing left to prove up there. And that did kind of check the box for me of like, I was ready to move on, take the next step. And this is a big next step. This is the big leagues right here with the AAC and with the likes of Florida and JMU being two top 10 teams in conference. It was just a no brainer to see what we could do with this program. And definitely think this is a program that can get to that top 20, top 10, be a nationally ranked team and really compete in this conference. So that was a big part to it there. But it was really fun to know that that did give me a lot of experience and a lot of growth factors that allowed me to come in here and hopefully be able to know that I could take this on and do this at a really high level. But it does take a tribe. Going for this job, I knew in my head, okay, who could help me out, who could be the staff members that we need, and just got really lucky with these two. Like Meg pulling her out of Jersey was no easy feat. Hailey coming from American, who had beaten ODU the year prior, no easy feat, but knew that these two are just lax rats and they love it, and they love it as much as I do. And I wanted to bring in two people that I love, trust, and know. And we just know that we're building this in the best of ways now, starting a little bit over, just demanding a new age from this roster.
Yeah, and you touched on something there. I definitely want to educate our fans on. Lacrosse plays in the American Athletic Conference, kind of a similar scenario we see for field hockey in the Big East, and even kind of men's soccer and who they play. Some schools that you would, as a casual fan, typically associate with other conferences like Florida and Vanderbilt. Typically think SEC, and it is a very tough conference. But I'd love to hear a little bit about from all three of you of what your experience was like in your first year playing in this conference, because it's a tough league. It can be a meat grinder, just like what we're seeing from other teams in the Sun Belt across all of our programs.
Yeah, it's so funny you say meat grinder, Gary. We got a drill called meat grinder, and that's it. That's what it feels like. I think kind of major staple, a part of our recruiting process for our recruits to know what they're buying into and what they're believing in is that we can make a climb in the third best conference in the country, right behind the ACC and the Big Ten. So that's a big piece to it, is knowing that our recruits are just as competitive as we are as coaches, and believing that we can really be a team that can compete at this highest level. I'll let Coach Hailey speak to this next for sure, because I know she has a bone to pick across the board.
We were just talking about this today. I just think that's so funny. You're talking about the conference and what it means to us. And it's so funny because as coaches and as players, all three of us know what it's like to play in May. And it's so funny because it's a play on words of playing at the Bay. But for women's lacrosse, men's lacrosse alike, playing in May is such a big deal and such an experience that not every team gets to experience. And it's so important. Some of the best time of the year to play, and the best teams are playing in that month. And that's who's left. It's the dogs at every level. So when we speak on, again, who's playing in that month and who's there, the AAC has two teams every year playing in that month consistently, landing a spot at the last weekend, couple of last weekends of that month, which, brings you to the Elite Eight Final Four weekend. And it's so even the sixth and seventh team ranked, when you talk about us and you talk about teams like Vanderbilt, Cincinnati, ECU, Temple, still really strong programs that compete with top 10 teams. So when you're considering other conferences and who their top program is and who's consistently winning, who's may win the tournament regular season, is going to compete in that NCAA tournament, even with those outside of the top two in our conference, are competing with the highest level programs and are making 1 to 2 goal games in the Final Four of our conference tournament. making it a highly competitive Final Four for our specific conference tournament, which just goes to show how even the playing field is and how important 50-50 games are and how important making our battles 50-50 games are. So have to respect every team in our conference, even though they might not all have a ranking in the top 10 next to them. They all compete with those programs and make them evenly fought games, as opposed to other conferences outside of that top one or two are falling a little bit below and beneath that high level of competition, not making games as competitive. Hey, you may be able to secure or promise more wins in conference, whereas you just know going into all of our games they're going to be really competitive, and you never know who's going to come out on top. But huge recruiting tool for us, and just goes to show how competitive our conference can really be, and it's crucial to us to be in that, and we are so proud and so excited to be competing with some of those programs.
And Meg, I'll let you take this next one, kind of changing gears a little bit to talk about recruiting. Uh, in December, you signed a pretty big 12-player 2024 freshman class. They'll be on campus for the fall and then play in the 2025 season. It felt like you all really hit a lot of the traditional lacrosse hotbeds, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. Would love to hear your approach to recruiting the offensive players and how that went over your first full offseason here.
Well, I think when it comes to recruiting, I think for us, like coming in, this was our first recruiting class. So we knew it was going to be big. We knew we were going to go all out for it. We knew we were going to take our time as well, because this was our true first recruiting class. And for us, like we said, we got 2 upstate New York. I'm from New Jersey. We also know the hotbeds. I mean, the Northeast is lacrosse, right? Okay. So for us, it was really important that we were looking at these areas, but it also goes to show too, like learning, having a Northeast look, but also having a little bit of the West, a little bit of the South, a little bit of Virginia. Like we want to be able to own each state, but we also want to be able to have that impact where every single player is going to learn a certain style. You don't want to recruit from just one area where everyone's playing that same style. Some of the best teams you look at in the country is yes, a lot are from the Northeast, but there are a lot of players that are from different areas, different backgrounds, different ways that they learn the game. And I think when you can compile a team of players from different areas, different ways that they play, and really get them to work together towards a common goal, those are the teams that you're going to see that really just like stand the test of time. And what I love the most about sports is that it is the underdog mentality, and we are the underdog mentality, and we've owned it. As a staff, we've owned it from the day we got here. And as second year right now with the team, we've owned it. And with our recruiting class, we're owning that as well. We're owning the fact that, look, you're going to come in, you're going to make an immediate impact, 1, but 2, you're also going to be part of something that's bigger than anyone, bigger than yourself, bigger than anything that you've ever been a part of. And what we really want our recruits and all the players that we continue to recruit here is that you're going to leave a long lasting legacy. And it starts with this team this year. This team is going to start the jumpstart of what ODU Lacrosse is going to look like over the next 5 years. And with that recruiting sense, like, yes, good catch on all those Northeast areas. Of course, we're going to recruit from our hotbeds. We know where players are going to be at. But for us, it's more about finding the right fit for what ODU Lacrosse is and for the right fit of what we're looking to do here. Again, conference wise, yes, we're the best. We're the 3rd best conference in Division I lacrosse. So we know what we need to play at. We know what players we need to recruit. And what's exciting for us is that we really get to bring in players that we see changing the tides. And right now, this year, this starts it. This starts the year of our right now, our team motto is DNA. What is our DNA? It's demanding a new age. And what's super exciting is that, our recruiting class for the 24s is large and great. Our recruiting class for the 25s also large. What we're continuing to do is bring in better and better classes. And so it is super exciting. And for us as a staff, like, we can't wait to watch this grow. We're not looking too far ahead. We obviously have to look at this 2024 season first and be dialed into that, because this season is going to direct who we see and what we do moving forward. But it is truly exciting to be able to go back to our hometowns, recruit from our hometowns, and be able to share with them how exciting and wonderful this area is and what ODU really is. So for us, the recruiting part's easy. We get to sell our favorite parts about Old Dominion, and we get to sell the fact, and not even sell it. We get to show everyone who we are, what we're looking to do. And this season is going to jumpstart all of that.
That kind of leads me to my next question. Lacrosse has grown a ton in the last 10 to 15 years. And you're right, it's not just Northeast, Mid Atlantic anymore. I work with a number of people who live in Texas, and their kids are playing lacrosse this spring in Texas, of all places. A lot of good travel lacrosse out there. I hear a ton about it at work on a pretty daily basis. And I was going to ask, how does that change the game in recruiting? Of sure, you've got the hotbeds, but there could be some really great talent that's out there in Texas, Arizona, California, Florida, and just wondering how that has impacted your recruiting strategy recently, and then also looking ahead.
Well, in Texas is just no surprise because the best player in the world is from Texas, being Charlotte North. So that was a big uptick right there for her presence on the map, being such an icon and a staple now. And it goes for every sport now, whether it's college or professional. You get so much fan base bought in and so much recruiting base bought in when they recognize the players that they see on TV, and they can really follow the story that they brought and then where they grew up and where they're raised from. So yes, even though we're all three from traditional areas, our experience now, whether it's been coaching or playing, we've all been a part of the rosters that are so balanced from traditional areas, Midwest, Southern region, West Coast, international play, that we all know the benefit of the different personalities, like Coach Meg was saying, and the different family backgrounds to come in and play an eclectic game. It creates for a really fun style of lacrosse when you're pulling from all these different regions, and you can see the different ways that it's taught, and it brings the best out of everybody because someone in the Northeast might benefit from or does benefit from someone else playing a really different style of the game, and just appreciating the fact of all being on a team that they get behind one goal and they're all passionate about the sport and they know the level and the demand that this now takes to play it at the highest level and see success through that.
That's awesome, and it is crazy how much it's just grown. And Texas, Florida, California, typically, just athletes galore there. Put a lacrosse stick in their hand and go see how they do out on the field. I think that's kind of the approach it seems like that a lot of people are taking, and I absolutely love to see it. Want to switch gears some to chat about this year's team. Going into this year, I think you have a pretty experienced roster. It's 15 graduate students or seniors. What advantages do you all see from that, and how does that help you kind of with the overall build, knowing that you've got a pretty experienced group that you're going into 2024 with to kind of kick off the next level of ODU lacrosse?
Well, we have to start on our defensive end there when we talk about our age. So I'll let Coach Hailey hit on this because that's the group I think when we look at this roster and we know what they're capable of this spring. It's that defensive age that we have down there that is our spine. That I'll let her hit on it because it's an exciting group. But as defensive coordinator, she takes a ton of pride in this every day.
Defensive coordinator and someone who played 7 years of college lacrosse, you can just recognize how different your experience becomes through playing the college game with so many different players, so many different personalities, but was lucky enough to play for so many different coaches as well. And our seniors and some of these veteran players, fifth years, and I'll shout out. I mean, I can't even shout out ones in particular, but we have one grad student in particular that's returning for us. She was a captain last year and is returning as a captain this year. She was our all conference player that ended in the spring, and our preseason all conference player this year. And I know she hates taking credit. She would deflect it to the rest of that crew and would give it to everyone that she plays with, and would claim that they're the ones that make her the player she is. But there also comes with an identity with this program, and what this program has been is playing a lot of defense. And we just have to recognize that. If you go back and you look at the record books, we have lost more games than we've won, and that means that other teams are putting up more goals than we have. That means our defense has been seeing the ball on their end than more times than our offense has been. And these girls, to lose games and to be the ones that are on that end of the field when the goals are going in the back of the net, it just goes to show choosing to come back and play as hard as they do day in and day out. It makes me so proud to be their coach, and it makes it so easy. I tell them all the time, they make my job so easy showing up as a coach and being their defensive coordinator because they're so bought in and they're so proud to be a part of this program no matter what numbers are in the W or the L column. They just want this program and themselves to get better as individuals, but they also want their teammates to get better. And through that, I'm just lucky enough to have now, I mean, gosh, now there's 6 upperclassmen that'll be leading our defense this year. And we'll definitely be talking about how important it is to play strong on whatever end of the field. And, the smartest programs put their 7 best on their one end and their 7 best on whatever end. So if that makes one-way middies, two-way middies, that's a whole other conversation. But we're lucky enough to have really strong upperclassmen look this year. And again, a few off the bench as well that are just pushing the people that see more time to be so strong. And we're just carried by so much vocal communication, but they're also just so proud of our other end of the team as well. They're our biggest hype women to the offense. When the offense is trying to figure things out, they're the ones that are the most proud of them figuring things out and finding success. So when it comes from that end and making them better, pushing them and being recognized as a great unit on this team, but also being so proud and making the other end of the field as successful as they are, it's been really an honor and just a joy. And to be lucky enough again to come in as a coach and have those veterans that are just ready to help as much as possible and be willing to be as bought in as they are has been super beneficial, but also just a joy to be a part of. And it's been a pleasure to see, and I just can't wait to see their hard work pay off because it's something that not everyone can see, only us as a coaching staff can see.
And Coach Meg, on the offensive side, tough year last year offensively. You lost your top 3 attackers to injury, and some of them very, very early in the season. How are they looking coming into the 24 season, and just how excited are you to have them back and be able to have them on the field for you to start the season?
Well, of course, the way that last year went, nobody ever wants to experience that. Nobody ever wishes that upon any team. And I think right now, what I can tell you right now is the resilience of this team is something I've never seen before. I'm going into my, I think, 8th or 9th year of coaching right now. And the group that we have, the resilience, the grit, the hard work, we've got players coming up from injury, but we also have been able to add new weapons through the transfer portal to our offense. And I think they've just been able to elevate everyone. And, going back to the fact that we do have a lot of upperclassmen, especially in the offensive end as well, when you do have experience, that then just is able to circulate through the rest of the offense. And like, understand with sports, offense does take more time than defense, right? Offense shouldn't be peaking in the first 3 games. Hopefully they're peaking mid-season, conference, and then playing in May. So for us, what's been super important for this offense has been the gel in the fall ball, the gel in the off season, and then just really just working and grinding right now. And I can't be more proud of, how well this team has worked and how hard they have worked. And from an offensive standpoint, again, like these transfers coming in 5th year and 6th years, just come in and completely being able to show this ODU program what it's like to win, what it's like to play later on in May, what it's like to actually put in that work and see it come through full. And obviously, yes, we don't really like to talk about those injuries from last year because guess what? Everyone's full go now. So it's like, we don't even think about that. We're a new team. Last year's year, out. This year's year, fully in. And for us this year with the offense, we're not looking to scratch the surface. We're looking to break through the glass ceiling. We're looking to turn some heads. Our defense is known. Our defense is top. It's now time for the offense to reciprocate. And I'm super excited. I'm not going to divulge at all into what we got going on, but just know that we will be turning some heads this year, and there will be people who are going to overlook us, which I'm glad because I'd rather be overlooked than looked at right now. And I'm super excited for how hard this team has worked in the offseason and just in preseason right now. Because hard work does pay off. And like I said, again, underdog mentality. I've been an underdog in high school, in college, in my international playing years. And there's nothing like being able to get to the end of the season with doubters finally looking at you and being like, okay, what's up? So
I like it.
From an offensive standpoint,
I like
get ready for some high scoring stats.
I love it. I'm hyped up now, and please don't share any strategy secrets here. We will talk about them after the games and how awesome they worked and all that. But yeah, we don't want this to be the leak of information for anything that helps our opponents this year.
No,
it was on the wrong
I love.
And Coach Walton, kind of zooming out and taking a look at the whole program, what have you seen in terms of the biggest areas of growth and development from the end of season one through a full off season and now where you stand today when you look at the entire team?
I've said this to a lot of people this year. I think last year, and you only know with a lot of hindsight too. And I think what we did last year is we gained the entire roster's trust and respect. This year, we gained their belief. And belief is the strongest word in sports. It's what makes or breaks a team. And it doesn't matter about talent or age or game to game or where you're at in a season. But their belief right now is through the roof. We can feel it, we can see it, we can hear it. And that makes the difference. And we can see it top to bottom. It doesn't matter if you're a big time player on this roster, a big time role player, someone who's chomping at the bit, waiting for their turn. Every single player on this roster is believing the goals that they set forth for this year. And like Coach Meg said, we've demanded a new age. And since we put that DNA in, since they truly put that DNA in themselves, our full roster, from captains to leadership to seniors to you name it, they believe in everything that we're giving them, and it's not easy. We're giving them hard things to believe, and they're buying into it and believing it every single day, and they're working towards those goals every single day.
Great. All right. One more question. Going to let all three of you respond. Hailey, I will start with you. I would imagine that in lacrosse, just like every other sport, each team has like their own weird pregame traditions, superstitions, something to just loosen the players up before games and practices. Monarch fans want to know, what goofy stuff do you see from this crew? And what are you willing to share, I should say, about goofy stuff that you see in practices and games?
Oh, well, this is a perfect timing for this question because wow, we had a weird preseason as a D unit. And again, we get so much credit, but we can't deny that everyone on this team works hard. And, it's easy to get all the credit, and this D really takes it. But I will say, I do not let them get comfortable. I do not give them the easy way out. I have to still be hard on them, but we had a ton of fun at this preseason through our 8-hour weeks through our first 8-hour weeks. And God, they just got so weird, whether it's the mornings, training sessions, whether it's the food they have in between, whether it's the conversation, the music they hear. I don't know what brings some thoughts to their head, but just through ladders one day, we're just doing some defensive ladders, and somehow poetry got brought up. And we divulged into different types of poetry. Haikus were mentioned, and we came up with some homework through an 8-hour week, a light little 8-hour week. All the defenders and everyone on the defensive end had to come up with a haiku. And for those who aren't familiar, didn't take 7th or 8th grade writing, a haiku is a poem that's 3 lines. First line is 5 syllables, second line is 7 syllables, third line is 5 syllables. And our RD presented in one of our map sessions, which are our mindset approach practice sessions, as a full team. And all the defense got to present their haikus to the team, and we're still trying to get this approved with administration to present one of these at each home game, because gosh, they should be published after I heard some of those, but they'll stay private for now. Hopefully those fans that show up to games will be lucky enough to hear one, but they were really special and a little niche, definitely weird bunch, but that was a good day for us, and good week, and I can't wait to hear more haikus throughout the season.
Poetic defense. I think that belongs on a shirt somewhere.
Definitely.
Poetic justice, poetic defense, however you want to put it.
All right. Anything on the offensive side?
Offensively, listen, everyone's their own different beast in that sense. As an offensive player, I have my own rituals. I don't really know what the offense does. All I know is they got to better come ready to roll. What I will say is we do have a nice little ritual. Every Friday, we have something called Fun Sock Friday. That's for the whole team to be part of. Basically, you get to show up in your wackiest socks. You get to have fun with it. Usually Fridays are going to be pre-game practices. So super fun to come out and just see what different fun socks the whole team has going on. And that's been really a day for everyone to kind of just let loose, have fun, know it's a pre-game practice, and something that, I truly like to be a part of, because I think it's just, it's funny, it's silly. There's really nothing to it. You're just wearing your fun socks. And, it makes Fridays all that much better, especially when you're going early in the morning. it's that grind that we get going. But as far as pregame rituals, I leave that up to every individual player. I don't know what they do. I don't care what they do as long as that ball sees the back of the net.
So poetry and socks. Got it.
Got it.
Coach Hailey's also leaving out that during ladders they started doing a spelling bee too. So they would challenge themselves and give each other words to spell through the ladders just to make it more challenging. Defense had a preseason like no other. They kept it fun, but I would even say that this roster understands that we are players coaches, like through and through, the three of us. We love getting along with this group. We love getting to know them. We like making it intense, but we like to laugh at the same time as the intensity. And we now have the players that have become really comfortable with us, and we're the three style players that and coaches that if you give it, you got to take it. If you take it, you got to give it. And they're giving it right back to us now. We like the chirp. We like the banter. They're getting more sarcastic with us, which we love. So we just like good vibes while being intense, while taking it serious. But we definitely like to have some laughs out there and have a good time with all of them at the same time.
Fantastic. Well, fans, Saturday, 1:00, LR Hill. Elon is coming to town for the season opener. If you're in town, make it over to LR Hill. You might hear some poetry. Either way, you're gonna have some fun, enjoying watching some lacrosse. Make sure you're following lacrosse on all their social channels, ODU Athletics. Any coaches that have accounts, all that good stuff, we'll have it linked in the description for this video, and obviously tag them in our social posts. Coaches, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a whole lot of fun. Good luck on Saturday and the rest of the season. We'll be keeping a close eye on you, and go Monarchs.
Thanks so much. Go Monarch.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure. Rain on.
Rain on.